The Jets lost to the Steelers last Sunday. Is it time to panic? Let's recap.
And we're back. No Monty today, guys, just because life is busy. But we're going to get into real quick our thoughts on the Steelers and Jets game. Adnan, what do you think of the game?
Yeah, it's funny, right? When was the last time we could say that the Jets offense was ahead of the defense, right? At any point, let alone just start off a season. So I think that, the offense looked good. And I think one of the things that's promising about the offense is that it does look sustainable and repeatable, right? It doesn't look like it was anything fluky. It was everything that Justin Fields is good at. He was good at. Garrett was good at what he was good at. The offensive line was good. Breece Hall looked great. So I think that was a big takeaway. Definitely disappointing loss. Brandon Stevens is a disaster. Tony Adams is kind of there with him. Stupid penalty on the roughing the passer or the late hit. So there were things to clean up. Didn't like the loss, but at the same time, I think there were a lot of positives.
Yeah, it was one of the more future optimistic losses I've seen from the Jets, just because, yes, as you're right, the offense, we could say looks sustainable now, though we've only seen one game of Justin Fields to really say that. And that's the one caveat to the whole thing, because we're as Jet fans, we've never seen consistent good QB play. But if we get that dose of Justin Fields every freaking time, then yes, this offense will be good, especially because it's going to lean to the run. It was a 2-to-1 ratio essentially for run to pass. And Fields looked, I thought he was more impressive than Rodgers. I mean, just some of the throws he made were freaking awesome. So same thing with Rodgers, to be fair. But Fields was more consistent, in my opinion. There was only one turnover worthy play, and it was a batted ball by Cameron Hayward from the group. But the grades show it too. PFF, say what you will about them in terms of how they try to subjectively or objectively put numbers on things, but they gave him the second highest grade amongst all quarterbacks for the week, which I thought was worthy of it. I've never seen a Justin Fields like this, if that makes sense. But especially with that, and that offensive line held up against what I think is the most ferocious defensive line in football. And Armand Membu was everything worth it, apparently. He was the highest graded lineman too, which is just like everything about it. Like the people that were great, right? And it was mostly on the offensive side of the ball. Defensive side of the ball, Jermaine looked great. Will McDonald looked great. Quinnen looked like he was DT2 according to PFF. So he looked great. Sauce was absolutely locked down. And obviously there's things on that defense that worried me. Brandon Stevens obviously being one, but the other thing was there was no pressure from anybody else on that defensive line. That's the thing that concerns me the most, because you're basically an injury away from only having two threats on the defensive line. But else than that, it was a pretty good performance. It's unfortunate they didn't get the win. Aaron Glenn, had made people accountable, which I do like. Engstrom called a hell of a game. There's no question about it. If you had told me the Jets were going to score 32 points, only punt twice, I think, and one turnover on downs, right, and lose the game, I was going to be totally shocked, right? They didn't punt until about 25 minutes into the game. Have you ever seen that, especially on a defense like that defense?
Yeah, it was impressive to see, right? No punts in the first half. It was
there was one punt 25 minutes into the game, 5 minutes left. That was the first punt
in the first half. The Jets didn't punt in the first half.
Yeah, first half. Punt. They had one punt in the first half.
No, they didn't punt in the first. I thought that was the first time they didn't punt in the first half since the 80s.
I'm pretty sure. Well, you know what? Doesn't matter. Moving on. I remember in our group chat saying 25 minutes in, the longest we've ever come out punting. But yeah, sure. Take a look. Prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. I'd like to be wrong. I prefer to be wrong. And this is a great use of our time. Basically, just filibustering here right now. This is the fine journalism that you are getting from the guys at Laugh Through the Turbulence. Like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to prove who is right or wrong on this one. I believe it was with 5 minutes left in the second quarter that the point happened. I love to believe it. Prove me wrong. Please let me be wrong. Oh, what do you know? I guess you're right. Okay, yeah. It was 5 minutes into the. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I was wrong. Okay, John was wrong. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, but no, I think it was It was a really good performance. You hit it. Engstrand looked like the real deal as well, which was very impressive. So I was happy to see that. I think they'll get it together on the defensive side of the ball. I think Glenn is all about accountability, and I think if a guy like Stevens or a guy like Adams keeps being a liability, I think he won't hesitate to make lineup changes. So all in all, Glenn said it, no moral victories, right?
Yep.
But there are encouraging signs. So I was happy with the performance.
I will say this about Stevens, though, despite giving up a lot, I mean, he doesn't really give up much separation, if that makes sense. It was still pretty evident, especially on that, what was it, the Calvin Austin catch down the sideline. Like, Rodgers had some moments where he felt himself there and really wanted this, right? And only a couple guys like Rodgers are making that kind of throw. Yes, I'm worried about Stevens, as we should be, because we're going to be stuck with him for like 2 years. But maybe some of these things are a little bit correctable. Maybe. I mean, that's just my one saving grace on that one. I think some of it is a little correctable. I hope it is. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, because, Baltimore couldn't figure out. Why could we figure it out? What makes the Jets so special as a coaching unit? But so far, the coaching units look fairly good, right? So, God hope that it does happen, right? Because if he can be that functional too, not as much as Sauce, no one. And Michael Carter also had a bad game, by the way. But if they can tighten up in the secondary, because that's really where they needed to tighten it up for this game in order to really just blow them out of the water, then then things can be different. But yeah. The offense is the thing. We've never seen offense. We've never seen the Jets hold the number 1 spot by PFF for the offensive grade, which is fascinating to me that I'd ever see it in my lifetime. I didn't think it would ever happen, right? Even for a week. Is it going to happen for 2 weeks again? Probably not. But I guess we'll have to see, right? I mean, yeah. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. Sorry, Monty's not here. He's not going to be here for the whole week. So comment, subscribe. Just keep freaking watching us.